Hello and welcome to the World of Zwift, the #1 destination for all of your Zwifting needs, be it racing, be it training, or be it anything in between. So with that in mind, let's see what's coming up on this week's show. Zwift Academy is finally underway and Matt Lieto is here to guide us through week 1. Nathan Guerra has the lowdown on the final Zwift Classics route. Olympic champion Dani Rowe prepares us for the Rapha Women's 100. We go down under in the feed zone. But Shayne Gaffney is back with the latest workout of the week. But first, if you fancy liking this video and maybe subscribing to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. While you do it, I'm going to learn a whole new language. I don't speak any Spanish just yet. But now I do. I know the entire Spanish language. Sigamos con el espectáculo. Sí. As ever, there is a whole heap of activities you can be doing on Zwift to keep you entertained this week. All right then, get yourself signed up for the Zwift Academy. The program starts August 30th. And if you're new to Zwift Academy, one of the many new features is the addition of orientation rides. Perfect to give you a flavour of what's to come. These rides can now be found as group workouts and are also available on demand in the 2021 Zwift Academy Road folder of the workout menu. There'll be plenty more Zwift Academy coming up later on in the show. After a short pause to make sure everyone's legs didn't fall off, the Zwift Racing League is coming back for a new season. Thousands of riders from thousands of teams have competed in the first 3 seasons of the ZRL, me included, and team registration for Season 4, it opens on Wednesday, September 1st. Now is the perfect time to join forces with friends and form a new team, or why not get the old band back together and make Tuesdays the most important race date on the calendar. Check out the link below to sign up. Ahead of the upcoming ZRL season, there is still time to get race ready with the Zwift Community Live Workout Series. This series of group workouts includes live coaching, tips and tricks from Kristen Armstrong and host Nathan Guerra. It's broadcast on the Zwift Community Live's Facebook, YouTube and Twitch channels. You know what to do, clicketh the links below. The Rapha Women's 100 is an annual challenge that empowers women around the world to tick off a metric century, and this year it's happening on the 12th of September. Olympic gold medalist and 3-time world champion Dani Rowe has created a Zwift workout plan to help prepare anyone looking to achieve this awesome milestone. If you want to get started right away, well, you can do, and we've managed to rope Dani into riding the distance for us on Zwift, and we've asked her to reveal all her pearls of wisdom.
Thank you, OJ. Zwift is a great option for anyone looking to complete this challenge, and I'm not just saying that because it rains here in Cardiff all the time and I don't want to ride outside, I promise. A 100-kilometre ride can seem daunting, but if you break it down step by step, it's easier than you think. When eating on the bike, it's important to choose foods that are easily digestible so the body isn't working overtime. Energy gels, bananas or snack bars are perfect. Aim to eat every 30 or 40 minutes, no matter what. And don't forget to keep hydrated too. I aim to drink a bottle every hour. It helps if you have a husband that's happy to fill up your water bottles too. Thanks, Matt. It goes without saying that being comfortable on your turbo trainer is one of the most important parts of any long ride. Make sure you're riding a bike that fits you, you're wearing good quality gear, thanks for the hookup, Rapha, and you have a fan nearby that's cooling you down. Lastly, 2 words of advice, chamois cream. It really is a game changer, trust me. So here we go, Box Hill, one of my favourite climbs, both in real life and on Zwift. So similar. On Zwift, it feels exactly the same as when you're riding on the real life roads. The stats of the climb, 3 kilometres, averages 4.4%, but it goes up to 7.7% as a maximum gradient, so make sure you pace yourself. In my opinion, the beauty of Zwift is that you're never more than a minute away from a comfy sofa and a cup of tea, so make sure you take breaks. Time to put my feet up for 15 minutes. A good pacing strategy can be the difference between finishing a long ride and completely bonking. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. Try and stay at a pace that feels comfortable to you. I recommend holding back a bit for the first 50 kilometres so that you'll have plenty in the tank for the second half. Time to knuckle down and get some kilometres under my belt. One element which is often overlooked is mentality. During my long rides, I always like to keep an eye on my distance. For me, I find it really helps to know exactly how long I've done and how long is left. However, I know some people who are the complete opposite and don't like to look at their data during long rides. My advice to you would be try both and find what works for you. By hitting the H key on your laptop, you can get rid of the heads-up display. Perfect if you want to zone out and enjoy the vast landscapes on Zwift. And that, my friends, is 100 kilometres. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you found my tips helpful. Remember, the Rapha Women's 100 Challenge runs on Sunday the 12th of September, wherever you are in the world. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing all of you smash it. I'm off for a stretch and a shower.
As you're probably aware by now, Zwift Academy is back and bigger than ever. And each week, former professional triathlete and favourite son of the Zwift family, Matt Lieto, is going to be leading us all through it. Here's what week 1 has in store.
Hello, I'm Matt Lieto, and I'll be with you every step of the way during this year's Zwift Academy, no matter what your goal is. It's the first week of the Road Academy, so coming up today, I'll be chatting to cycling coach Shayne Gaffney about why the baseline ride is so important. And we'll also be taking a deep dive into this week's workout, the VO2 over-unders. We'll also check in with OJ and his training buddy as they embark on Zwift Academy for the very first time. And we hear from an incredible Zwift Academy alumni about how they've used the power they gained after the Academy ended. Now this year to graduate from the Zwift Academy Road program, across the 8 weeks you'll need to take on 6 structured workouts, 2 recovery rides, and new for this year, 2 progress rides known as the baseline and the finish line rides. The beauty of ZA this year is that using these progress rides, you can track how you're progressing with detailed data, meaning you've got cold hard evidence that you're making big gains and can show this off to your friends and nemesis at parties. But in order to get this data, we have to set the baseline. Earlier this week, I caught up with fellow coach Shayne Gaffney, who told me exactly how we go about setting this baseline and why it's so important. Hey Shayne, thanks so much for joining us. I know one thing I'm most excited about for ZA this year is the baseline ride. You're the man behind the baseline ride, so why don't you explain what it is for us?
The baseline ride is super important because it's going to allow Zwift to individualize its training to you, right? And it's also going to give us a way to show you progress over the 8 weeks of Zwift Academy when you do that finish line ride at the end. So I think it's super important to do the baseline ride to get an accurate insights into where you are as a rider right now, and then have a better way to, again, individualize to the program and then give you a much better idea of where you finish up at the end. So we have 2 routes. We have an advanced route and a standard route. The advanced route is called Climber's Gambit, and the standard route is called Legends and Lava. So pretty cool names, I think.
In those routes, what are you judging?
We're judging 3 main areas. So we call them short, medium, and long segments. So the idea here is they are going to match up with the 3 main energy systems of the body. So the short segment is going to be a sprint segment. So the idea is we're going to test the phosphagen system. And the phosphagen system is one of the energy systems of your body that basically produces very high amounts of energy, but it has a very low duration of which it can produce energy for. The second is the medium segment, and that is going to test your anaerobic system. And the anaerobic system is kind of the mid-range where it generates a lot of energy, but only for about 60 seconds to 2 minutes, give or take. And then the third energy system is the aerobic energy system, which everybody's pretty familiar with.
Shayne, I hear you throwing around different labels for athletes as far as what their strengths and weaknesses are. Do you mind taking a second to, explain those differences to us?
So those are called phenotypes. And the idea here is if you do really well on the long duration segment, relative to short and medium, you'd be, called a time trialer phenotype. If you do well in the medium segment relative to the short and long, you'd be a pursuiter. And then if you do well on the short relative to the medium and long, you'd be called a sprinter. So it's basically a way to categorize somebody based on their strengths and how they test in these baseline and finish line events.
Do you have any advice for athletes going into their baseline ride?
Just really enjoy it. And I think more important than that is make sure you're not blasting it between segments, because the only things that matter are those 3 segments. So it's not a race. It's not a race. It's not a race.
Well, Shayne, I appreciate it so much. Thanks for joining us. I think now the athletes will have a little bit more knowledge as they go into that baseline ride.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Workout number 1 is called VO2 over-unders, and the idea is to improve your VO2 max, which is the maximum amount of oxygen your body can use during exercise. In other words, it's the size of your aerobic engine. In this workout, we'll spike the effort at the start of each interval. This will trigger your body to use just enough oxygen to push you close to VO2 max. Then, we'll keep a fine balance of intensity over the complete interval to keep you working close to your VO2 max. Over time, riding close to this VO2 max will increase your ability to ride harder and for longer, and whatever your goal is, that is a good thing. World of Zwift's very own Cat B bandit OJ Borg will also be taking on the ZA Challenge for the first time, and he's offered to document his journey for us to show you are not suffering alone. He's recruited a dedicated training buddy, Erica L. Erica is a UCI rider agent who founded Level Up Cycling Movement, an incredible Miami-based movement that makes cycling more accessible to minority communities and helps to identify the next generation of pro riders. So let's see why this transatlantic dynamic duo decided to take part in the Zwift Academy this year and how they got on in their first week of training.
Do you know, I've always wanted a training partner, and I now have one. Erica, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, OJ?
Excited to meet you, excited to go on this Zwift Academy Road journey with you. And I love what you do. I love everything that you do. So thank you for being my training partner.
Thank you for allowing me.
So what are you expecting?
A lot of pain, right? But also a lot of growth. And I'm expecting to be able to kick some butt, on the road and on Zwift.
If I can give you a personal anecdote about it, I had never really done a structured training plan before. And I did one a while ago to have a crack at a gravel race. And as I started off, I was, umming and ahhing about it. But at the end, I tell you, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So
how did you feel?
How did I feel? I felt stronger. I felt faster. And I felt like I was able to handle things that I hadn't been able to handle before. So what do you think you'll be like once you've got through the entirety of Zwift Road?
That's what I want. I want to feel good, strong, and confident on the bike. I always want to feel like I can handle any situation that I'm in, any surge, any race, going in and understanding that and knowing that about myself. I'll tackle any race. I'll try anything.
So Erica, this is obviously all about a structured training plan. What sort of trainer are you?
I'm good at commitment. So once I commit to the structure and the training, yes, I'll knock it down.
So I might need your help then, because I can be a bit enthusiastic for the first couple of weeks and then just be a bit, I can't be bothered.
I got you covered, OJ.
Yeah.
No slacking. We have goals.
So obviously Zwift Academy is about helping you become a different type of rider or improving the things you are already, whether it's a sprint or endurance or stuff like that. What do you want to be better at, Erica?
Climbing. I live in Miami. It's flat, right? So Zwift will help me, I guess, mentally prepare for climbing and hopefully on the road. Because it's flat here, I don't do a lot of spinning. It's just like a lot of slow grinding here just to get the speed. But Zwift, hopefully, during the academy can help me, spin a lot better, become more comfortable with that, as well as climbing.
Do you know, I'm training towards just being faster all around. I always get beaten in sprints, and I want to be faster on the flats, and I want to be faster up hills as well. I'm built like a small family hatchback. So if I can get up mountains quicker, that'd be wonderful. Erica, what are your goals as we get to the end of Zwift Academy Road? What do you want to achieve?
First, I just want to be an all-around cycling baddie. But 2, I don't have much confidence on Zwift, so the Academy will help me build confidence to sign up for my first Zwift race.
And I tell you what my goal is. It is to ride the Mallorca 312. It's a big old famous sportive around Mallorca, and there are mountains there. There's so much elevation. So if I can train and do that on the final day of Zwift Academy Road, it fits perfectly. It happens on the final day. I think that would be a great goal. But Erica, we need to go and do our baseline rides. We need to get into this. Are you ready to do this, Erica?
I'm ready. Are you?
Oh, yes. I've got a training partner. Let's do this, Erica.
Let's go.
Off we go. Baseline ride. Oh my God, I'm overexcited.
Baseline workout, Zwift Academy 2021. Let's go.
First one of the tests is done, the Titan Scrope. KO in reverse, 900 meters. Didn't feel too hard to start with. But then, because you start off with everything you've got, I did not manage my effort. I really didn't.
A little past halfway through, what I did not expect was to be put in a trance because of the scenery, but I don't really feel the climb as much as I anticipated earlier.
Going to ride, just hit 12.5. I feel fairly pumped after that first one, ready for the sprint. Now I'm no sprinter.
I have just about under 5 miles left, and as you can see, I'm sweating, but I'm still smiling.
And there you go. My baseline ride is done. Loved it. Really enjoyed it. Interesting to know what I got, and interesting to know what my training partner got. Woo!
And we made it.
My first workout, overs and unders, looks interesting. So, prepare mind, prepare body.
Just finished the first set of intervals. Serious business now. Focus time.
And that is the second set of intervals. Done, wow. Drop it down to 190. And thank the Lord they are over. Woo!
I really am looking forward to taking my Zwift Academy legs to a challenging group ride.
My last one of my intervals is done. Let me just take a second to get my head back together. Woo!
On a 9% climb. Last set. Focused.
It was hard, but it was ace. And whatever your goal, if you fancy kickstarting your fitness, why not sign up for Zwift Academy Road and join me on this journey as we get after our goals. And believe me, that has kickstarted me.
Workout number 1, smashed.
Last year, an incredible 125,000 people took part in the Road Academy, and we've had tons of you write in to tell us how you've taken the power you've gained and applied it to the real world. Each week, we're going to get to know one of these Zwift Academy alumni, so let's see who's up first. Kara Nicholson Seidel is our alumni member this week, a Zwift Academy veteran. The 49-year-old completed the program in 2018, 2019, and 2020, but it's the community that she found the most rewarding.
Everybody is just so amazingly wonderful and so very helpful. There's so much information that you can get from there. My fitness level last year was horrible, absolutely horrible, because of having COVID and just right before Zwift Academy, and I managed to graduate. By the time I got to my last group ride, I was actually able to keep up with the main field. After I graduated, it just made me feel so much better about myself. I mean, I felt good. I could walk upstairs. Every year I graduate, I just have this wonderful feeling that I have accomplished something that, you know, not a whole lot of people have. And a lot of people don't understand Zwift. So I try to tell them that this is a huge accomplishment that I have done, and I've done it 3 times.
And that's it for me today. I'll be back next week where we'll be talking about workout number 2, Another expert guest will be giving us all the hints and tips you could possibly wish for, and there will be more exciting action from OJ and Erica's pain caves as they take on week 2's workout. In the meantime, you can still get yourself signed up to the Academy, so follow the link below if you're not already, and let me know in the comments below how you enjoyed your first week of training. Now back to OJ in the studio.
Thanks, Matt. He'll be back next week, and I, for one, am loving getting back into the structured training. Never thought I'd love it so much, but you know how it is. It's not too late to sign up if you want to. As ever, you can find out how in the links below. The final race of the latest Zwift Classics series is upon us. So for one last time, Nathan Guerra is here to give us the inside track on where each race will be won and where each race will be lost. So Nathan, hit us with it.
Welcome to Zwift Race Knowledge with me, Nathan Guerra. This week we're talking Zwift Classics race number 8, the London International. This obviously takes place on the London map, but it is on the Classic course, which is an exact replica of the Ride London Classic race, which was a women's world tour race, which is 5.5 kilometers on a circuit on some of the most famous and iconic structures and roads in London. Classic course in London is almost always a day for the sprinters. But with Whitehall in the middle of this course, as well as the sprint points up for grabs on each lap banner, it does offer a little bit more pressure points if the field is attacking through these sections. But usually, this course is all about a high-speed avalanching sprint right toward that finish line. As a sprinter's tactic, you're going to be wanting to pay attention to each of the climbs. The first climb into Trafalgar Square and the Strand, as you leave the lead-in section, you need to be up toward the front of the peloton. Actually, anytime you are climbing Whitehall or that first climb out of the lead-in, be in the top 10 to 15 riders. You do not want to be toward the back. If you are a sprinter and you don't have a high threshold effort, sometimes little gaps will form that people end up letting go. Do not find yourself in that no man's, no women's land. Make sure that you are amongst where those splits are going to be happening in the front end of the field. Now, the two sections that are 180-degree turns are very dangerous for causing splits or finding yourself off the back if you don't know how they function in-game. These 180-degree turns actually slow your avatar down. You don't actually brake in order to make it happen. It just naturally happens in the game. And as it does slow down, you need to pay attention to the acceleration on the other side. Make sure that you're ready to punch out of these 180-degree turns near the 1 kilometer to go banner, as well as at the end of the mall. If you're set up correctly, in the right place in the pack, and you're accelerating out, you should find yourself within the pack. Or if you want to try and make a break, it is a good opportunity to at least accelerate a little bit to see what may happen. Now, the only section really out on course where you can try and make a break happen consistently is going to be the St. James Park into Whitehall climb. Now, a lot of people think the Whitehall climb, that is really where it's at. Well, yeah, you can punch it over the top there, short and sweet though. Now, an attack though, from way back at St. James Park, where you're going along the park and there's a little bump as you leave that section, attacking there with some orange numbers, getting a gap and working together with some riders, and then punching again over Whitehall, that may be enough of an attack to really put some seconds between you and the field. From there though, you really got to be committed all in and attacking out of each of the 180-degree corners, attacking the downhills and definitely attacking the climbs while staying consistent and around your threshold the rest of the course. Now there's two different kinds of sprints to take on this finish. There's one which is a steam-rolling pack that is a large pack still at this point with many high-charged sprinters and teams that are amongst you, really taking a avalanche to that finish line. If that's what you're amongst, finding yourself a little ways back in the pack, maybe 1/4, middle of the pack even, from Admiralty Arch and ramping slowly up into a full-on sprint in the last 300 meters, using an aero power-up from that section, you can come flying through suddenly at the last moment with so much pent-up speed from that peloton and then take that across the finish line for the win. There's another kind of sprint though that may be able to win out on the day if it is a race of attrition. If the race has been very difficult on this course and it's whittled down the pack a lot, you can try and use a power-up breakaway from the pack right around Admiralty Arch and use that downhill speed to get a gap very quickly and do a drawn-out sprint with a few other riders. Using the other riders around you that have tried to break away or a solo situation may be able to win out the day better than sticking around a very high-powered sprinter that might be able to take you down at the line. Now, this actually was employed as our iconic moment by Mary Wilkinson in the 2019 London Zwift Classics London International. This high-powered race had in real-life pros as well as tons of community members that we've seen over and over again battling it out. Now, earlier on in the race, though, is what actually made this possible. We saw people like Tanya Erath and Rosamund Bradbury and a few other very high-powered women in this field making attacks, taking down sprint points, which made it an awesome race of attrition, but they were dropping like flies because of the crazy efforts they were putting out there. And that is our awesome moment in Zwift racing history, Scary Mary taking down the win at the Zwift Classics London International Women's Race in 2019. If you want to check out the live broadcast of this race as well as plenty of other community events, head on over to Zwift Community Live's YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook channels and hit that like, follow, and subscribe buttons.
The World of Zwift mailbag has been positively bulging with ideas for indoor ride fields, as always, for me to sample in the feed zone. And this week's suggestion comes from Gavin and Sam. Ta-da! Now, I'm not quite sure why they don't have separate YouTube accounts, but as you can see, their indoor ride field has an Australian theme to it. I've already put the muesli, the milk, and the banana in here, so let us add the Vegemite, which, being a Brit, I would say is a lower form of Marmite, but hey, whatever. Now, we know that Vegemites, get a big old lump of it right here, is made from leftover brewer's yeast and various vegetable and spice additives, which means it's high in vitamin B, which is, get in there, which is good for energy levels. And then we've got soda water here, which should keep you fuller for longer. Yummity yum yum. So we'll just put the top on here, get the blender ready to go as I line up the dots. Dots lined up. Wow! That is pretty funky looking. Oh! Well, I feel that's fairly well mixed. These marks remind me of something. I'm just not sure what. So, let's unscrew the top and see how this... Oh, wow. Oh, that's a heady, heady scent. Whew. Here we go. That's completely disgusting, I'll be honest with you. That is absolutely rank. If you've ever been dared to drink something, maybe in a pub towards the end of a night, it tastes like that. Even the bits are terrible. Ugh! So, thanks Gavin, thanks Sam. If you've got any more genuine suggestions of how you fuel your Zwifting sessions, please drop them in the comments below. And if you want to try that and let me know how it tastes and if you can stomach it, I'd love to know that as well. Oh God, that's rank. Ugh. If you're looking for another workout to complement your Zwift Academy training, then there's always the Workout of the Week series with my man, Shayne Gaffney.
This week's workout of the week is vault. Sweet spot is an effective training intensity and can be defined between 88 to 95% of your FTP. In this sweet spot with burst workout, the bursts become harder up until the halfway point, then gradually ease up towards the finish.
This creates a vault-like appearance when you review their intervals and is where it gets its name from. If you only have 20 minutes to spare and you want to make it count, this workout won't disappoint.
That's it for another World of Zwift episode. If that hasn't inspired you to get on Zwift over the next 7 days, well, we'll refocus and get back to you next week. Remember, sign-ups for Zwift Academy are still open. If you have any suggestions for what you'd like to see in future shows, feel free to pop it in the comments below. And until then, ride on.